Moving to our neighbours now, the last absolute monarchy in Africa, the Kingdom of Eswatini, will hold its parliamentary elections on Friday, but it's a vote in name only as political parties are banned from contesting. That's because the country's constitution emphasises individual merit as the basis for selecting lawmakers who cannot be affiliated with any political group. Almost 600,000 registered voters will be called to choose 59 members of the lower house of parliament. They'll play an advisory role to the monarch. Mswati, who can veto any legislation, directly appoints another 10 lawmakers. Right, back here at home now, the Brics Parliamentary Forum has kicked off in Kempton Park. The forum aims to strengthen ties among member states and discuss solutions to global challenges. It follows a successful summit held in Sandton last month. All member nations are expected to take part in the two-day meeting. eNCA's senior reporter Siphamandla Goge is in attendance, and he joins us now live from there. Sipa, just first of all, for those of us who don't know or those who are watching and might not know, just explain the significance of today's meeting.
It's significant simply because it follows that Brics summit of the heads of state, whereby they were discussing a number of issues in terms of cooperation, politics, security, as well as trade. So after that Brics summit that was hosted by South Africa, remember this year South Africa is being the chairman, or rather has the chairpersonship of Brics. So therefore, after the Brics summit, a number of decisions were taken. Those will need to be dealt with by lawmakers in all member states, and no matter what was discussed and agreed upon during the Brics summit, it has to be discussed and then processed by lawmakers in all the member states, including those members who are waiting to join Brics, because remember, they are newly admitted members of Brics, but they will of course be able to be processed and fully incorporated into Brics early next year. So this gathering is important because all members of parliament from all Brics member states are gathering here in Johannesburg to have this forum whereby they talk about how to strengthen cooperation when it comes to issues of oversight, issues of cooperation. They can learn from each other and they can be able to speak with one voice, even though they are different countries with different interests. But remember, when it comes to democracy and oversight, parliaments play a crucial role. So therefore, this gathering is very important in that regard, and they are hoping that this gathering will finalize that long-standing issue of the outstanding memorandum of understanding to be signed between and among Brics member states. Take a listen to the Speaker of the National Assembly in South Africa explaining why this is important.
This meeting serves as a reminder of the collective responsibility we bear towards our people, their aspirations and their well-being. By embracing the spirit of collaboration, empathy and mutual respect, we can build bridges that transcend borders and bring us closer to the sustainable and inclusive future. We express our heartfelt gratitude to every one of you for gracing us with your presence and for your wavering commitment to the ideals of Brics. Your wisdom, insights, and dedication form the backbone of our collaborative endeavors. I believe that through constructive dialogue, sincere collaboration, and united efforts, we can pave the way for a better Africa and a better world. I earlier on did say that we have the former Speaker and the former Deputy President. I can assure you that she's one of the people who have been pushing and saying, where is the memorandum of understanding which was agreed upon by the Brics Parliamentary Forum? And hopefully, Speaker, today you will hear, and tomorrow, discussions around that matter, and hopefully this is a forum, this is one time when this matter will be concluded.
And Sipa, it looks like global change is at the top of the agenda at the forum.
Indeed, if you take into account what was discussed during the BRICS summit, let me remind our viewers that ordinarily and usually you will have this, BRICS Parliamentary Forum on the sidelines of the BRICS summit. But South Africa felt that it will not get the attention it deserves. So therefore they decided that it will be a couple of weeks later after the BRICS summit. Usually you will have the heads of state discussing, which is known as the executive, and then you will have legislatures, lawmakers coming together to discuss what was being agreed upon by the executive and see how can they make that to basically be in line with the constitution and lawmaking and process it according to the laws of any respective country that is a member of BRICS. So issues of global politics will take center stage here, even though this is not a gathering of the executive, if we can put it like that. But remember, decisions that were agreed upon by the executive will have to come here to be discussed by members of parliament. So therefore, issues of global politics, issues of trade, issues of energy. I know that after this lunch break, they will break into sessions and commissions where they will be discussing issues of Africa and BRICS, issues of energy within BRICS, and strengthening cooperation when it comes to oversight. So those will be commissions that will be discussing those topics. The Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, Mr. Paul Mashatile, saying this gathering is crucial because it will be a finalization of what was discussed and agreed upon by the executive. But this is the first step to take those decisions forward to make sure that they comply with the constitutions of respective countries. Take a listen to Mr. Mashatile.
This forum has the possibility to exert change on a global and unprecedented scale. For starters, BRICS has focused the imagination of the world population beyond the citizens of its member states. In and of itself, this is a good thing. However, we should not be surprised when this success factor attracts negative responses from some actors in the world, despite the fact that BRICS is not opposed to state parties or groups, but instead we seek peaceful and just world of equitable resource distribution.
And Sipa, I saw you speaking to Mkhuleko Hlengo, the chairperson of one of the most important committees in Parliament. And in the South African context, at least our parliamentarians have been found wanting by Chief Justice Raymond Zondo in that he said that they haven't been practicing their oversight role. Will that be something that they try and clarify maybe with some of their BRICS partners?
They will have to, and I guess they will have to be upfront with their BRICS partners in saying these are the challenges we have in South Africa, these are the successes we have registered, but like you have correctly pointed out, that the Chief Justice was not kind to our parliamentarians in South Africa for their failure to exercise their oversight. If it was for them doing their job, we wouldn't have had state capture, for instance, that has been going on for years in South Africa. They've been found wanting in a number of occasions, and SCOPA is one of the key committees in Parliament that is there to ensure that public accounts, dealt with properly. But when it comes to this forum, parliamentarians from South Africa will have to contribute how they're going to go about implementing the resolutions and the decisions of the BRICS summit, because no matter what was discussed by the heads of state will have to come back to parliamentarians, because those decisions and resolutions, they've got policy implications. They need to go through the constitutional and legal requirements for them to pass and be implemented. But most importantly, there are financial implications for that. So this gathering will have to discuss a number of things when it comes to issues of oversight. How do they play their role in holding the executive accountable for what was agreed upon during the Brics Summit? But most importantly, will those decisions be constitutional? Will they meet the requirements of the law and the Constitution? If they are not implemented, who should be held accountable, and what are the mechanisms to do so? That is the role of Parliament, and South Africans, or rather those who are from the South African National Assembly, will have to make their contribution known. And the chairperson of SCOPA, Mr. Mkhuleko Hlengwa, says he hopes this will not become another talk shop, that they will be able to learn from each other. There are contradictions here, because when it comes to BRICS member states, you know, you are dealing with different countries with different interests and different political systems. What is known as democracy in South Africa may not be the ideal democracy in China. How do you ensure that there is oversight in a country that is a one-party state? How do you ensure that there is oversight in a country that is not really open and transparent? So those are the contradictions. But at the end of the day, remember that we are dealing with different countries, that they've got their own laws and their own constitutions, and as much as they are part of BRICS, but they remain individual countries. So therefore the issue of oversight is very important. Please take a listen to Mr. Hlengwa.
We need to be able to know what we are dealing with at closer inspection. The people, obviously here, there's democracies which are questionable. There's oversight mechanisms that may quite be foreign to South Africa, but at the same time we need to be able to present the alternative, and that alternative is what currently South Africa is doing. Obviously, I do feel that Parliament in South Africa in itself has got to do more and has got to do better, because we continue to run the risk really of being an extension of the executive. Take one example. Every year South Africa passes a budget, Parliament, that comes from the executive, and for the past 29 years has never been amended. Yet Parliament, when it debates its own budget, they will say we don't have money, it's not a sufficient budget. So there is a need that whilst we benchmark, we really need to sort out some of the internal intricacies for ourselves here, because it's no use preaching transparency, preaching the role of Parliament, saying we must play oversight and not people accountable, yet we're not doing it here at home.